A favorite stitch of mine is the triple straight stitch, stitch number 5 and 6, on the Husqvarna Viking Designer Brilliance 80. When you want to go from a straight stitch to a triple straight stitch, all you have to do is pick stitch 5. So this is going to do 2 stitches forward and 1 back. Now let me show you a couple versions of this stitch and why I like it. Number 1, I'm going to fold the fabric on the diagonal. This is actually going to be the bias of this fabric. So when you have a heavier looking stitch, it makes it look like you've done and used thicker thread, but you really haven't. All you had to do is pick the right stitch. So here is what it looks like. It looks so bold, and people think that I always use thicker thread. I love to use this when I do decorative stitches, and I'll give this like a little outline for a decorative stitch, and it looks like eyeliner. It looks like I've highlighted an area. So the reason I sewed on the diagonal, look, it is considered a stretch stitch. So if you've ever stitched over something 3 times to make it 3 times as strong, all you would have needed to do is pick stitch number 5, stitched it, and look how pretty the stitches are. That is all in the same hole as it goes back and forth, reinforced, and then people are going to think you've made something professionally looking. So if you wanted the zigzag version, let me just sew this because it really gives it a nice bold look. Of course, you can make it wider or longer depending on what you're looking for. But I want to show you something about this screen. So you see the stitch right here on screen. Do you know its actual size? So what you see on screen is what the size you're going to get on the fabric. So if you're very visual, this is great because all you have to do is just look at the screen and know that that's going to be a nice thick stitch of that size. So once again, you know, sometimes speaking of stitches and what they look like, they always look better stitched out than they do actually on the screen. So like, for example, this is just a utility stitch, like an overlock stitch, but it actually could be a fun decorative stitch, especially if you were to put in variegated thread. It has a whole new look. So make sure you do take the time to stitch out all your decorative stitches and see what magical stitches you find in this machine.